this is my new feature, going unranked to diamond playing only Ninja Zed, and these are a few points to think about while you watch the next two games. If you don't get bow on the first carousel, you can always lose streak to pick it up on the second one, but if you don't hit Shen on your roll down, you're not going to have much life to spare. As you'll see in this first game, I didn't even have it chosen until the very last round of the game. Shade Zed just helps you 3-star faster. If Zed jumps into a clump of units, he might die before he can do his damage. He needs open space and an RFC to do his work. While Galio helps in the early to mid game with CC, Azir, Yone, and Zilean help as secondary support units in the late game. Now go ahead and smash that like button for me. You even have Zed's approval. He's been here this whole time. Do you really want to banish him again like his ninja master did all those years ago? I have faith you'll do the right thing. So you might be thinking to yourself right now, hey, what is this 9 Elderwood crap? That's not Zed. Well, I forgot that this was my Zed account, but that guy quit and I had 100 hit points, so that's kind of cool. So one of the most important things you can ever do while playing Zed is get bow on the first carousel. It's really easy to do, and I'll be showing you how to do it in just a couple of seconds. And as you can see, here I go. You just walk right up and well, maybe next time. The idea is you bind a secondary key to player movement, so while you're spamming right click, you're also spamming a button on your keyboard, giving you twice as many clicks per second. You go to hotkeys, player movement, player mouse click. You can see I have it on period. Because I didn't get bow on carousel, I decided I was going to go for lose streak and get it on the next one. Normally I would have bought that brawler Tom Kench and gone on a win streak instead. This was a little greedy getting Kennen this early, but sometimes he's hard to find on the roll down, and I was still able to make econ, so I picked him up. I can also put him in later with Elise to make keeper. My biggest fear when lose streaking for bow is that I still don't get it because it spawns on the other side of the carousel. Luckily for me this time I can get it, and it was on a 3 gold unit. As you can see, I played my lose streak pretty well because I have enough money to actually level to 7 during the creep round. Typically I would be selling my chosen and getting ready to roll down and find my units. At this point you want to finish getting the 4 ninjas, picking up Akali, Kennen, and Shen. If you aren't able to find Shen, the best route is to pick up some cultists so you can have 6 cultists plus Zed at level 7. The smart way to roll down is to not 2-star Kennen or Akali because you might need that extra gold to find Shen. I have a bad habit of 2-starring them anyways that I have to break. 2-star Kennen or Akali are not going to win you the round, and you're losing 6 potential rerolls to find Shen in that time. As I mentioned in the beginning, if you lose streak early to get a bow and you don't find Shen on this roll down, it's usually a fast 8. The best way to stop the bleeding is to get the 6 cultists and Zed until you can find Shen. Turns out I got lucky this game because you never want to roll below 10. At this point I'm just selling off units I don't need and putting on the ninjas and cultists I'm going to use, and throwing on RFC on Zed at the last second. I couldn't quite make the QSS, but I'll just do that next round. So this is the general formation you're going to want to make. You're going to have the Zed, Akali, Kennen, Shen on the back right, with Elise and Eve in front of them, Elise giving her keeper shield to Akali and Eve. Pyke goes on the opposite side as a decoy and then ults the whole map, which gives Zed more time to do damage. Zed typically doesn't need the keeper shield because he has shade anyways, and with his attack speed it can proc pretty quick. The next thing you're going to want to do is scout, and like I said at the beginning, Zed wants to jump into open spaces, and I see a few teams on the right side. At this point I'm just trying to get back to 50 gold so I can just roll interest every round, and I'm picking up all the other units that I need along the way that I can 2-star. It's still really important to scout every round because sometimes people change sides. I typically just scroll through all the teams real quick and get a general idea of which side I should go on. My initial plan was to get that sword on Lee so I can make his Zeeks. Once that was taken, I'd figure I'd pick up that Yone so that I could have a unit to put in once I get to 8. Once I found a Zir, I knew I had a Nico on the bench, so I only needed one Zed to get 3-star, and I really wanted to get to 8 with a 3-star Zed, a Zir, and a Yone. I didn't want to roll past 40, so I figured I'd hit it next round, so I took out Elise to put in a Zir. Even though this loses Cultist, I still have Keeper, and Azir has his own CC similar to the Galio ult. As I'm rolling down here and not hitting Zed, I'm thinking, you know what? I'd rather just get to 8, because there's still a high chance of hitting a Zed, and I only need 1, and then I can put the Yone on the board, and I'll be much stronger. Plus, I have a blue buff and an armor component I can put on to make a Sunfire, and then Yone will have 2 items. And what do you know? There's my boy Zed. Throw in a Nico, hit 3-star Zed, and make Yone's items. Remember kids, all you gotta do to win, just hit. From here on out, my main concern is just to scout and make sure Zed is not going to jump into a cluster, and I should be good to go. Now you may be thinking, hey, look at that Thornmail Azir, he looks kinda good. But I'm thinking, hey, look at that Hecarim with Hurricane. That is one sexy horse. I didn't really like these items, and I got kinda greedy because I didn't want to put a 3rd item on Yone that's just a static shiv. So I threw him on Akali and said, have fun. So I was scouting the 2 remaining players, and I thought I probably don't want to jump into that 2-star, chosen, 3-item Yone. So I switched all my guys to the right side and then prayed for the best. So the good news is, the other guy died. The bad news is, I gotta fight this guy again, and he just beat me on the side that I thought I could beat him on. So maybe I was wrong. Maybe I go to the left and kill that Yone. So I didn't really see any items that I wanted, and my thought process was, well, I have enough gold to get to 9, so if I can hit a zillion and then put a blue buff on them, that might be my best bet. And if you haven't noticed, I still have not had a chosen this whole game. So I'm really hoping that once I get to 9, I'll find Keeper Azir, or Adept Yone, or even Shade Kane. And then I hit it! I found Warlord Azir! What do? Panic! Fire sell! Sell everything! Get money! And I sold my Eve, so I don't have Shade anymore. I don't even have time to scout. Not that it really matters at this point since Zed died on both sides. Now I don't know if Shade would have helped me win that round, but it feels bad, man, to hit the best possible chosen for this composition and then lose in the same round. Well, I missed the bow last time, but I'm so confident in my trick that I showed you that I guarantee you I will get a fawn this round, so just watch. So this game, I was actually able to start with a Cultist and Brawler opening because of the Fawn, and it gave me 5 units to play with. So I went for a win streak instead of a lose streak so you can see the difference on the playstyle. And in this carousel, I'm going to go for a sword because I have a belt and that'll make a Zeeks. So the creep round gave me components for a locket, and I'm being a little bit greedy here because I still have 96 hit points, so I'm not going to go for the Brawler Silas, and I'm going to see if, hey, you know what, maybe I'll hit a Shade Zed, or maybe something even a little better. And although I have Zed in my lineup, I'm not trying to force it in, I just happen to have 2 and I'm waiting for a 2-star. So my greed paid off, and I got my Shade Zed, and that's another reason that I don't put items on level 1 Zeds. Because, for instance, if I had that extra glove on that level 1 Zed, I would have had to sell it so I could eventually still put it on the Shade Zed. It's always really awkward to have your items on a normal Zed and a Shade Zed sitting on the bench. And now I just replaced the Maokai with a Silas and make sure my Zed is next to the Zeeks. At this point I'm debating if it's better to get a 3 gold Jinx even though I don't really need armor, or if I should get the Negatron to make the QSS. The problem is it's on a 1 gold unit, and I don't really want to get that, but I figured it's better to have a guaranteed QSS than an extra 2 gold. And here comes the dreaded 4-1. So I level to 7, start rolling down, and I don't have a Shen, and I don't have 6 cultists, so I figure I might as well just keep playing this board because I'm on a 5-game win streak, and just hope that the other teams haven't rolled enough to get powerful to beat me, and the next round I'll find the Shen or 6 cultists, and then my board will be stable, and I can get back to 50 gold and start rolling on interest. So I win the round, and I notice I have 2 Elises on the board, so I figure, hey, there's a Jarvan. I'll throw him in to get an extra keeper unit. It's not 4 keeper, so it doesn't give a bigger buff, but it gives an extra buff to some other of the units. And then with 7 seconds left, I realize I'm a complete idiot, and I have 6 cultists sitting on the bench. So I scramble to try to throw him in, and then I get him in just in time, and I put my Jhin next to my Zed and throw on a Zeke's. So even with 6 cultists, unfortunately I still lost, but it doesn't really matter because dun 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 dun, Shen to the rescue. So I just gotta sell off all the garbage I don't need, put in my 4 ninja, 3 cultists, get them in the right formation, and then start putting on my items. Now you'll also notice I always seem to forget that I have a Fawn, and so I'm at level 7 and I forget to put in an 8th unit. If I had been thinking clearly, you see I hit a second Z2 and I could have put that on the board in time. So at this carousel, I'm perfectly happy. I can get a belt because I have a sword on my bench, and so I can make another Zeke's. Here I'm just making the Zeke's and throwing it on Akali and rolling down my extra gold to 50. And I see this Riven, and I think, well, it's a keeper, and it's better than Elise, and I completely ignore the fact that I have a Z2 sitting on the bench. I'm telling you, I always hate Fawn starts. They throw me off so bad. I finally see that I have another Zed. So this is just a matter of positioning, where I have both Zeds next to the Zeke's, and I move the Eve down so she's also covered in the locket, and I'm good to go. At this point I have a lot of good things going for me, but I have one major setback, that I don't have an RFC on Zed. So I hit a Shen 2, I'm 1 Zed away from a 3-star, I can make a triple Zeke's on Akali, and I can even put a Hodge on Zed, which is a pretty good item. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, it's a good thing I have this giant lead in health, because I'm probably going to start losing. I'm still winning, so that's good. Go ahead and roll a few times. Find Z3, easy peasy. Now I gotta figure out what unit I'm going to throw in because of this Fawn that I have an extra slot for. So I see this Irelia, which is actually pretty good because it gives Adept. And I also see the Janna, which will help with Mystic. In general, Adept is going to be better, but I want to make sure there's no teams with a lot of ability power first. Doesn't look like it, so I go with Irelia. Now I don't know if these guys were AFK or what they were doing, but I was last pick, and I picked first. And I got the exact unit that I wanted for my composition. The item isn't really that great, but I see that they're clumped when I scouted, so it'll probably still help. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I realized that I haven't been scouting this whole game. Now since this is a new account, and by my 3rd game I believe I'm in Silver Elo, it's probably a good tip for anybody in Silver Elo that doing the extra little bit in scouting will give you a great advantage, because it doesn't look like anyone else does it. This ends up being a pretty standard formation once you have Azir in place, having a soldier in front of him and then one to the left of Shen, as well as giving keeper buff to the units around him. I scouted and saw they're both on the left in a clump, so I moved my Azir with the Shroud. Here I level to 9 and find a Zillion. Since that gives me 4 cultists, I can actually replace Elise with Riven and still maintain keeper. I found another Azir, and I ended up hesitating a little bit because I wasn't exactly sure what to do. I believe what I should have done is just got rid of Cultist, sell the Pyke and Eve, and put in Kennen and Lee Sin, and that would hopefully carry me because if you notice I've actually lost the last 2 rounds. I end up just locking the board and throwing in this Azir for now. My thought here is pick up this Luden because I know I have Kayn locked in the board and I can throw it on him next round. Like I mentioned last round about getting rid of Cultist, I actually decided to do it here and I'm able to throw in an Ezreal as well as the Kayn. I hope you enjoyed my first couple games at an attempt to go unranked to diamond using Only Ninja Zed. My goal here is to help you see how I would handle different situations and you can come up with your own ideas on what you would do as well. Depending on how many games it actually takes me to get to diamond, there should be several different scenarios that require different types of reactions. Although the overall deal is the same, get 4 ninjas, get Zed, and win, it's still fun to play because games like this where I don't get an RFC on Zed, I still have to figure out a way to come out on top. So with all that said, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down below. And if you do me a solid and hit subscribe, I'd appreciate that as well. I will see you guys in the next video.